So, it's a common part between Ford and Mazda. You will not believe which one of those companies charges the most money for this tiny little bearing. One of these companies charges double the price of the other company for this bearing, the same part. It's a Ford part. Can you guess which one charges double? You'll find out. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Thanks for joining us. How you doing? Hope you're having a good day. It's been a busy couple of weeks for me with work and family commitments. So I finally got some time to work on the car. I've got the full day with nothing to do. Well, actually, I have 3 hours. I have 3 hours with nothing to do, so I'm gonna mess around with the car a little bit, and I will show you what I've been up to recently. Also, my fingers have healed up. Obviously you can't see, but they're a lot better. They're still a little bit sore right on the tips. I think I did some nerve damage, and I get sort of a shock up my finger when I hit this one in particular. But yeah, what can you do? Stay out of the kitchen, I guess. Anyway, let's have a look. Okay, so I put the turbo on finally. If you saw the last, I think maybe the second episode I started making up the turbo manifold. And yeah, finally got the last couple of pieces together. So I found the right position that I wanted and welded the thing on. Pretty happy with how it turned out. I need to clean up the welds a little bit, tidy it up a bit. But all in all, it is pretty well sorted. So the only thing I will say is, on the standard Duratec block, the alternator sits in here. So that is one thing that I couldn't really help unless I put the turbo up higher. But what I realized was the Mazda block has the alternator on the other side. So bada bing bada boom, it's there now. So with this whole setup, it is a common block between the Mazda and the Ford Focus. So the Mazda 3, Mazda 6 and the Ford Focus all use this block, hence why alternator could go on both locations. Because this is an MPS turbo, I used to have an MPS as a daily driver, it blew up, I took the turbo off it, this is it. Yeah. On that car, the turbo is in this location, but it's flipped around the other way. So yeah, the alternator is put on the front, here. So yeah, that works out really well. I kept the alternator off the car before I got rid of it, and it bolts straight up to this side of the block, which is great. It clears everything else. And I also put the oil filter on, and it clears the cross member. Pretty happy with how that's all coming together. So yeah, back to the turbo. Plenty of room for the dump pipe. The dump pipe will probably go right down there between the rail and the steering column. So that is enough for a 3-inch dump pipe. And then on top is where the water rail will come through to the radiator. Speaking of radiators, boom, we've got a package. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, that was good for the fragile item. Anyway, this must be the fan. Yep, fan. Fan kit. So this is a Wally Auto Parts. No idea who they are. Look at that, nice and shiny. So this is my first ever aluminium radiator, 3-core, pretty thick. Yeah, so 3-core aluminium radiator. It is the RS 2000 version, so it's got its own little issues, which I will tell you about in a minute, but Yeah, very nice. Very nice look from the get-go. The welds aren't too shabby on it for a cheaper radiator. It's pretty nice. Should do the job quite nicely. So, obviously, I'm going to have to drill some holes, mounting holes. Yeah, I think it'll do the job. I definitely think it'll do the job. Obviously, a couple of modifications needed to mount it up. I think sitting right there, it's a bit too high. Anyway, you get the point. It's a radiator. It'll go there somewhere. Just have to make up some mounts. Another thing. I had these pieces cut out because they're a little bit rusty and got some new ones made. I was going to do it myself, but my brother just got a new sheet metal folder, so he made these ones up for me, and I just have to cut them and weld them in. Should be pretty cool. Same on the other side. Just have to cut and weld them in. But that will be another video. Now, another job that I have to do, I don't think it'll get done today because it's quite a big job. I have to put this bearing in the back of the engine block. So this is a pilot bearing. It goes in the back of the crank, and the input shaft from the gearbox goes into this bearing, locates it. So I have to pull the motor and gearbox out of the car, put this in the back, reassemble it. Hopefully it's all lined up. Right now I don't have a clutch or flywheel in the car because I've been waiting for this bearing. It's finally come in. Now I've got to put it in. So it's a common part between Ford and Mazda. You will not believe which one of those companies charges the most money for this tiny little bearing. Look how big the thing is. It's tiny. One of these companies charges double the price of the other company for this bearing. The same bearing, the same part. It's a Ford part. Can you guess which one charges double? You'll find out. Alright, quick story time. I love my story times. I've got a lot of stories to tell. It is what it is. I know I'm going to need this bearing. I pulled apart the Mazda, took the engine out when it blew up, had a quick look at the part number on the back of that block, and that bearing, because that's the bearing I'm going to need. Quick Google of the part number brings me to a website called Edge Autosport. I've used them a few times for MPS parts. They do a lot of MPS parts, Ford Focus, things like that. $5. $5 US for this bearing. Beautiful. Delivery, $40. $40 to post a tiny little bearing in a tiny little envelope. And alright, the part's $5. I'm going to call up my local Ford, see how much they're going to charge me. Obviously, if America's charging $5, Australia, even if it's $10, $15, and I'll go pick it up. $67. How? Anyway, no worries, mate. I'm going to try somewhere else. So I tried Mazda, because Mazda, same part. $135. I was silent. The dude was like, "You still there?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm still here." How can it be $135? That's the price that Mazda set. That's what it is. I said, I can get this bearing for $5 US. How can you charge $135? That's just what it is. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. No worries, thanks. No worries, whatever. So I ordered the bearing from the US. I finally got it. Cost me $45, landed to my door. I could have bought the Ford one for an extra 20 something dollars, but I wasn't in a rush. I had other things to work on. I didn't need it straight away. Doesn't matter. How can companies charge $135 for a $5 part that someone else, how? That's ridiculous. That's what it is. Now I have to put that in the car. So I have to take the engine out, take the gearbox out, split them, put that in, clutch and flywheel on, put it all back together, put it back in the car. It's probably not going to happen today, but it will happen in this video or I might cut the video in half and it'll be next video. Anyway, that's what we're going to do. Put the bearing in the car.